Okay. I'm working on rental logic, and I'm trying to facilitate um, what what users. Let's see, where am I going with this? Yeah, the idea here is that I want to help neighbors connect and basically borrow or rent stuff like anything you have: a lawnmower, board games, textbooks, crock pot, and how would that be facilitated? What's the chain of custody with the app of photos and reviews and approvals and notifications so that you could just say I have a bike to rent and anyone nearby or in a private list, or I can field requests and rent it for $5 a day or something, and or that can maybe move up into, with enough trust, you're renting your car to someone. Because theoretically, if you go out of town for the week and you have a whole bunch of camping gear, and you have a neighbor that you get along with, you know is not going to screw you because they're your neighbor. Um, they would love to rent that stuff, and then maybe you have 4 or 5 neighbors who can do that regularly, and you actually have a passive income sufficient so that you could upgrade your camping gear or whatever asset you have, or buy another lawnmower, while simultaneously it would kind of diffuse or diminish the requirements of ownership for the other people. So now I know that I can rent a lawnmower from John for $5 a day, and he has a really nice one. I'll just sell my crappy one, and maybe with the passive income, John can get an even nicer one. And now we, as a neighborhood, can mutually distribute the burden of ownership over the nicest lawnmower you could possibly get, because we're all alternating it and not mowing our freaking lawns every day at the same time. Also, I want to destroy all lawnmowers everywhere. But, so the idea of, I added a location thing here a little while ago, and we can have some options for the map where I prefer not allowing zoom because that's annoying with the scroll action, but you can then add navigation controls, and I'll put it there. I also connected the radar pixels, or no, rather radar API into here. So if I were to say something like these wine glasses, and you can use this current location as it's a component. It's just called location, and you can click on it and it'll grab your geo coordinates, which I feel like I shouldn't do since now I'm a giant YouTube star. But I could say Gaithersburg, MD, and that should at least be able to drop you right in. Hey, look at that. We're on the map. Okay. So now, I need to be able to manage these reservations for this particular item. Now, I know that these items do not have a parent ID. Therefore, I want to be able to, as Homestar Runner would say, boeat them. And let's drop that back into there. Now, if I'm adding a new reservation, let's verify that it gets the special values of row ID, parent ID, and timestamps. Let's say super cool. When do you want that? Let's get it for next Monday, 5:30. It's a little bit tricky to limit the amount of available times. You can say if it can be in the future, which I guess I should do. Although, as I'm creating this super cool social network, I'm considering just faking user accounts and faking data just to give people ideas. Because if you're reading that someone's renting stuff in Nebraska, you don't really care that they're real or not. You just want to get the idea. And maybe that would allow something like, oh, I have this item as well, and like a clone button, so that I have a lawnmower too, and I am fine renting it for $5 an hour or 10 or a day or whatever. But I don't even know how I got started on that. Okay, so add the item. And what on earth am I looking at here? Orders, reservations. So this only needs a few hundred more features. The title is going to be maybe the notes, and the meta will, or let's see the description when it is. Yeah, okay, that works for me. We gotta make sure that this collection has a filter. That I got a filter, and what are we filtering? That the parent ID is not empty, and but specifically we need the parent ID is the screen value parent ID. Okay, so if I say super cool, yes, we have this collection where the parent ID is referenced. Obviously, we don't want people to be able to add or edit, or even the admin stuff. The author ID, the timestamp, and then how are we going to show? No need to search or filter. So the general role title will be just like parent rental item. Okay. Then the image will be the image final, because we have an if-else. This is an if-else statement for if the direct image upload exists, use it. Otherwise, use the pixels lookup, which is pretty freaking cool. And a tough thing that templates can't use APIs. It's an obvious reason why, because you can't share codes, but it does kind of limit the amount of like automated information that you can or content that you can put out. Regardless, let's go meta. Location, string, and then Gaithersburg, Maryland, and then what is also, or the final image, orders, rental, author, I don't know, whatever. Location, string, model price. Yeah, sure. Wait, but that's for purchasing it. Yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to create like a separate products model where you're ordering it and that's just a purchase and that's complete. Because you might want to sell something but then also rent it. And it's kind of cool to do that in parallel. Right? I'll sell it for $400 or rent it for 10 a day. Because then you can have interesting, like, well, what would be the required rental rate, like weekly, for you to reach return on your investment or something like that. Anyway, let's also what am I doing? Duplicating that, and instead of the parent ref, it's going to reference the author ref. And we'll say rented by. We should probably also have a reference of the author of the thing, like rented from and rented by, that kind of thing. Alright, but at the very least we can have this order. Now if it's a single reference, does the lookup column basically allow you to replace or the query column allow you to replace the lookup column? I feel like that's because we have a rental reservation. Maybe just call it a rental order. And does that create a reference that then you can... I still don't really know what the query column does, and I know it does a ton. But... Okay, here we go. Rental orders, and where are those products? Orders, oh, just the shops, okay. What the freak does the query column do? I know it does a ton, but I still don't get it. And I watched Robert's video over it a couple of times. I'm like, this is really cool. And at the end, I'm like, I still don't really know how to use it. Particularly when he removed all those other columns to like find the ranking. Like if it's a multiple layer relation, I get that. Like I wanted to create a query column of the tasks that were assigned and incomplete. So maybe just like it replaces multiple relations. But like singular relations, there's no benefit. Well, you know, let's freaking give it a shot. Parent ref, we'll just say query, and then look up the query column. Might as well practice and make a bunch of mistakes. So the parent ref, right, query column that looks up a parent ref. Filter by, add new. Right, if it's a multiple relation, then we're filtering that relation. That makes sense. But otherwise, you just are using a relation. Right? And if you're trying to reference a specific item from the relation, okay. So that still doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, because it's not going to allow it unless there's a new filter. Filter by... What? What on earth is not empty? Is. What's this? It's disabled maybe because it's a singular reference. I haven't felt this ignorant in a while. Kind of a nice feeling. Okay, parent ID, parent ref. Where am I going with this? Parent ID. Alright, let's just create a quick lookup column for the parent lookup image. Make that look up parent ref, and then the image will be the final. And why am I doing that? Oh, well, also we want the parent author, which is pretty neat, because that'll be critical for like permissions. Yeah, that's what I need. Author. The author is a lookup column. Instead of it's going to go into the parent. So here's where it gets interesting. I'm looking up a reference through a lookup, through a reference. And it seems to work, and that would be generally difficult to do through like CoffeeScript, even through Meteor. Okie dokie. That's not showing up. I don't know why. But what I want to do at the very least is throw a container in there so I can have the background image. Breadcrumbs, toss it in there. Title, toss it in there. So I can use the background image of the order through the parent ID reference lookup image. So what's the background? Hopefully this works. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Background image. Parent image, right? Yeah. Through this thing. So the notes are super cool. And then we can add some of those fields into the parent image. And maybe make it darker or something. Yeah, whatever. Okay, rented by. Okay, also we want maybe another relation. Seems like it's a lot of like individual pieces, but at the same time it's crazy to think that since it's auto-published, this app is literally, were anyone to use it right now, like they could just reload it and they would see all this information showing up. So you just add these pieces together, and then when that's settled, people can theoretically rent it, and then all I have to do is market it and talk to humans, which is what I'm terrible at, roughly speaking. Usually like on some spectrum of like not wanting to, too shy and insecure to talk to them, or like you just don't get the genius vision. Not great for marketing. What am I doing? Parent ID. This also author. Yeah, this author parent ID. Yeah. Okay, so going back up, the parent item, rental parent item. I think I just don't have an author for that. So maybe I can create a. What am I doing? A switch? No, choice. So I can add kind of anywhere a reference. What is it going to reference? The author. I don't know the difference between when a choice updates a reference and ID. I feel like you should always just do the ID because you're updating the source. Because if you're updating a reference, what if the reference is like from child to parent? How do you do that? Well, let's figure it out. Author, reference, content, image and display as. Right. So what's the difference between that and you're actually updating the fields? Well, I don't feel like learning that right now. Parent ID, author, user, source, uses, we'll say label author, admin. So then we can also create some visibility condition where the current user profile info role includes admin. Yay! So I'm gonna make now myself the author. Actually, no, I'm gonna make this. Well, yeah. So the author for admin. Now we have reservations. Let's go over to the reservations actions, and we want to add a condition. So we could say, this will just say reserve. Why is that not showing? Reservations collection, right? Well, that does work. Okay, add a condition. We do not want to be able to reserve it if we are the author. So we'll say if screen author ID. I wonder if you can just use the reference. I guess so. Is not, rather. If when it is visible, show when the user profile is the author ID. Therefore, allow action when author ID is not row ID. Why is that not showing? Or why is it showing? When the user profile row ID is the screen author ID. Oh, I know why. Because when I edited it, I did not update the choice. Choice author ID the values need to be not the name, you're not saving as the name, but you're saving it from the row ID of the user, but you're showing it as the name. So that doesn't register anymore until you reselect it, and now that's the author. Is rental, is hourly, is daily. Cool. Let's see. Is rental, that works, that's good. Is daily, it's cool how it saves the values, that's cool. Daily rate, $1. Yeah, it's like wine glasses. It's like you're having a party. Okay, well, you could have a box full of like stuff for a party, and I could just come over and borrow your wine glasses. Like, usually people have fancy silverware and stuff that like sits in a drawer for a year. Might as well use it. Maybe the world could, consume a little bit less and not fall apart. Alright, yes, I am now the author, therefore I cannot reserve it, but I should be able to switch the status of these rentals for, I don't know, if it's canceled or approved, or so this is like a chain of command or logic flow, which is kind of a lot. But let's see, for one, we should be able to delete this, and that goes back to here. So this guy is wanting to reserve this. Let's maybe add a field or two of like the timestamp for one, and there is none, so let's just delete that. Where else are we going with it? Dev, super cool. Well, let's just delete that guy as well. Parent rental item, rented by. So down here it will be parent author, and that's not the parent rental. We can just call it rented. Rented from. I mean, I'd love like a life where all I had to do to like make $100 a day is just kind of manage this app. I own a few things, and then I can just kind of walk around to my neighbors throughout the day and pick up stuff from them and rent stuff from them. Like, I don't know, I want to rent your Xbox for like $10 a day because I want to try it out. Or you have the new VR headset. Like, I don't want to buy one, but I'll try it out for my party so I look cool. It's all about looking cool. Alright, so we have the rented from and the rented by. Let's just delete this, I suppose, so that we can have a more clear flow. Alright, we're back to the wine glasses. I've noticed when it goes all dark like this, you can just kind of hover over these things and it'll kind of reset. We don't need a search bar on the map. So I'm pretty stoked about the whole Glide Experts program. It is really impressive, and it looks like they're just growing. It just looks like a great team, a great, operation completely. So looking forward to getting the first clients and just building out apps like a banshee. Right, where do I want to go from here? So, if I'm viewing it as the author, the reservation thing won't even show up because there's no options including adding. But if I say that I am Federico, I can now reserve it. And let's see, when can I reserve it? Let's just say next Tuesday at 6:30, whatever. I don't know, thanks, whatever. So, now, I am Federico. I am saying thanks. I'm going to reserve that at that time. I probably want so we have a shop, post orders, shop, rental orders. Let's try to go with a timestamp. We can have now a new folder that says timestamp. initial, and then throw in a... It's interesting when you're creating so many similar fields, like an author reference field, you would kind of hope that it could be some sort of common form, which is able to do with like CoffeeScript, because you can just dynamically reference a parent model, but in this case, I don't quite know how you would do that. So it's always a challenge of which different models do you structure out, because how many like similar fields are there, like how many duplicates, and I guess it's just a matter of yeah, you just kind of go, it's either horizontal or vertical structuring, and then they just kind of duplicate. Let's go relative, and we can look up a relative time, and we'll look for the timestamp initial. I don't know what that is. Now custom. Interesting. Oh, like the now is either now or it's from two different times. Oh, but wouldn't that could be like a duration? Oh, so. Oh, and so is. I don't know. Like a duration field, you'd think would be like a math field between two times. But a relative time could be a duration calculated from two times. Style, I don't know what that is. We're on mini something or other. So 2 minutes ago. Therefore, let's go back into... I suppose we'd have to create a template if we wanted to combine those fields. But... daily rate, add item. No, we're looking for reservations, and when the reservation is. Let's go back into the fields. We don't need the author ID anymore, but we could use author, reservation, parent, relative, something like that. Timestamp initial, and say from something like that. Or ordered, added June 9th, 2023 at 5:15, which is 3 minutes ago. So now, if I am the rented from person, I should be able to update the status of the post here. So we need a status field. And this is where it gets gnarly, because we have all the basic information on creation. However, what we need is like a status. Let's see. Oh boy, here we go. Status. And we'll say, well, we'll start off with just a status string. And we want to timestamp each step of the way and make a button for that to go, this person updated this thing at this time, which is like, we'll start with approved, I suppose. And we can say status, or maybe approved, bool, or just is approved. And then we're going to have dashboards on dashboards for the statuses and flow of all these rentals. Which is why I was thinking I should have just an app for that. And I thought about calling it Baro, B-A-R-O. That was kind of cool. I think it's a friend's idea, but I don't even know. Then I thought, well, just kind of throw it in there. Approved. Okay, so let's add a timestamp. Approved, like we'll say when. And would multiple people be able to update the status? Like, if I own something, but I'm out of town, and I want my one neighbor to manage rentals so that he goes in, I don't want everyone coming into my place, but my neighbor who I like can come into my place. I don't know. I guess everything can evolve. Approved when. And I'm going to start with an action to affect the rental orders. So the user interaction with the rental orders. Well, I'll save this video for now and then get back into the actions. Okay.